I remember the last time I almost quit trading. It was 2020, right before COVID. I was at my desk at work browsing the internet when I saw an ad for prop firms. It seemed a little sketchy. A firm that would give capital to a normal retail trader like me without a track record. Well, I decided to give it one last shot. 5 years later, I broke the world record for the largest prop firm payout in history. So if you're thinking about quitting or have recently quit, this story will change your mind because I know just how powerful trading can be if you put your mind to it. First, let me share with you the times I almost quit trading and the most memorable ones. 2015. The first time I quit. So I found trading in 2011 and I opened my first brokerage account. After dropping out of college, it was the one thing that pushed me to get back into school and earn a degree in finance. I thought that degree would land me a job in the trading industry, so I applied for trading jobs and never heard back. I mean, why would I? I didn't go to a top finance school and I didn't have a real network. I'd been grinding the markets for the past 4 years with zero results. So with the slim opportunities I had, a friend reached out offering me an internship in construction. Not what I wanted to do, but it was better than nothing. So I accepted the position begrudgingly. My days sometimes consisted of 5 a.m. wake-up calls, hours of commuting, and complete exhaustion by the time I got home. Not the ideal life that I pictured. Trading would be my master plan to exit that life. So I would trade at my desk inside my cubicle, and sometimes I even got caught at work with charts up when I should have been working on a project. I was consistently losing money or hovering around break even. I would find a new system, trade it for a few months, then I'd go through a difficult period and abandon it, only to start all over at square one. Eventually, I got burned out from this vicious cycle, so I decided to step away and focus on my career. At least I was getting paid from it. But I didn't stay away long. The more I worked, the more I wanted trading to work out in the long run. But I just needed a break. At that time, the break felt like I was quitting. I picked it back up a few months later when I realized that construction was something I could do and be okay with, but not something I actually wanted to do long term. I wanted freedom. I didn't want someone always telling me what to do, and I certainly didn't want to allow someone to dictate how much money I could make. That would be life on my own terms. Now, fast forward to 2017. Another 2 years had gone by. I was stagnant at my job, still living paycheck to paycheck, and because of that, I took my frustrations out on the markets. Every time I loaded up an account, which at the time was my entire liquid net worth and months of savings, I would blow it up in a matter of weeks. I thought it was my strategy, I thought it was bad luck, but really deep down, it was my insecurities and personality flaws that I just wasn't willing to address. I was impatient, undisciplined, and had zero emotional control. This led me to consistently breaking rules, over leveraging, and over trading. I bet that sounds familiar. Why? Because I was trading to get out of my current situation. So after I funded my 10th account and blew up 50% of it in a week, I was so distraught. I felt like I had enough. I decided to take that money out and make a decision that would honestly change my life. I bought my wife an engagement ring. We've been together for over 8 years and she had been with me through thick and thin. She knew I was struggling with my trading, but encouraged me to keep going. No matter how hard it seemed at the time, she and I both knew that at the other end of the tunnel, there was a life that everyone dreams of. So even though I didn't have results, I kept grinding away. But even with her encouragement, success still seems so out of reach. The bad habits that I created over the past 6 years kept coming back to haunt me. I was chasing the goal, not the process. And I knew exactly what it took, but for some reason I couldn't remain disciplined enough to avoid my biggest mistakes. And I thought eventually if I just kept at it, that I would get lucky. It wasn't long after that I hit the wall again, and trading just didn't have the same allure that it once did. I fell out of love with the markets again, and there I was just working and being stuck in the rat race. Now, 2020 eventually comes around. I've been married for a whole year, bought a house, and started to finally respect my hard-earned money. I accepted a new position as an estimator, which opened my eyes to a whole different side of the construction business that would eventually contribute to a lot of my trading success. As an estimator, I would get a set of construction plans for multi-million-dollar homes, and it was my responsibility to price everything out and provide a full budget for the client so they knew what it would cost to build the home of their dreams. Now, I had never been exposed to this type of wealth or decision-making before. I worked with clients spending ungodly amounts of money on something as simple as doorknobs or kitchen faucets. It was then that I realized there wasn't anything different that separated the wealthy and the middle class. They were just operating at a different scale. 1% of their budget going to hardware on a $25 million home was the same 1% on a $500,000 home. Even though the numbers were drastically different, the percentages weren't, and they didn't allow the number to impact their decisions. So the harsh reality set in. While I was trying to flip my small account into a large one over the past 9 years, I recognized that I didn't need bigger trades, I needed more capital. That capital, however, seemed out of reach. As my life and career grew, so did my financial responsibilities. I didn't have much left over after each paycheck, at least not enough that would make a significant impact on my trading progress, so I slowly fell back into the same bad habits that plagued me all of my trading career. Over-trading, over-leveraging, and revenge trading so I could exit my career faster. The harder I tried, the more I lost, and the further I moved away from my goal of being a full-time trader. Now, you may be wondering, how on earth did I make it through all of this? That brings us to the next part of the story. 9 full years of being in the markets. 9 years of getting my teeth repeatedly kicked in. And 9 years that I can confidently list on my resume as a failed trader. It seemed like all the odds were against me. I would have great runs followed by blowups, and the boom and bust cycle just became part of the norm. Whenever I felt energized about markets, my good habits drove results, but as soon as I had to feel losers, it felt like my world was caving in. You all know that feeling. Your hopes and dreams suddenly feel out of reach, so you push and you push until your mental and account capital are empty. Now, I wish this wasn't the case, but nearly every successful trader has a story of hitting rock bottom, where the situation seems so dire that they reach a fork in the road. Either make the necessary changes required to become profitable, or quit entirely. I got so fed up with my trading that I reached out to a good friend for some advice, and little did I know, a couple words would change the way I approached everything. I told him, I dream of becoming a full-time trader, but it feels like I don't have the courage to continue on this path. To which he responded, what are you afraid of? And that's when I needed to remember why I started. This is what saved me. This saved my life. This saved everything. And I'm here today because of that one statement. That question hit me like a freight train. What was I afraid of? And once I figured out what this meant, it launched me past every frustration I'd been carrying for nearly a decade. The reality was, I wasn't trading for money, I was trading for freedom. But every time I placed a trade, my fear of failure and the idea that I would be stuck in a mediocre life was hijacking my decision making. I couldn't hold winners because it felt good to exit and make money, but my losers were so much larger because I couldn't accept being wrong. I was so afraid of losing that I was guaranteeing my own failure. Now think about that. The very thing I was trying to avoid, I was creating with my own hands. Every revenge trade, every time I doubled my position size to make it back, every rule I broke, it was all driven by fear disguised as ambition. So I made a decision. I decided that if I was going to fail, I was going to fail doing things the right way. No more excuses. No more blaming the strategy, the market conditions, or bad luck. I was going to trade one strategy, follow the rules religiously, and give it an actual fair shot for an entire year. Win or lose, I would stick to the plan. And you know what happened? At first, nothing. My results didn't magically transform overnight, but something else did. My relationship with the process. I stopped checking my P&L every 5 minutes. I stopped caring about individual trades. I started journaling every single trade, reviewing my mistakes without beating myself up, and actually learning from what the market was showing me. Then I discovered prop firms. It was like the universe finally answered my prayers. Here was a way to trade with the capital I needed without risking everything I had. I passed my first evaluation, got my first payout, then my second. It wasn't life-changing money yet, but it was proof. Proof that I could do this, and proof that all those years of struggle weren't wasted. Now, here's what most traders don't understand. Your strategy doesn't matter if your psychology is broken. You can have the best system in the world, but if you're trading from a place of desperation, fear, or ego, you're going to lose, period. And that was me for 9 years. I was trading out of desperation to leave my job. I had to reconnect with why I started this journey in the first place. Not to make a quick buck, not to prove something to my family or friends, but because I genuinely wanted to build a life where I controlled my time, my income, and my future. Once I made that my North Star, everything else fell into place. The losses didn't sting as much because I knew they were just part of the journey. The wins didn't make me overconfident because I knew they were just confirmation I was on the right path. Your why is what keeps you going when you want to quit. It's what keeps you disciplined when you want to revenge trade. And it's what reminds you that this is a marathon and not a sprint. So don't waste everything you've invested. Now, what helped me bring me to where I am today? Let me ask you something. How many hours have you spent staring at charts? How many courses have you bought? How many strategies have you tested? How much money have you put into your education, your trading capital, your setup? Add it all up. Now, ask yourself, are you really going to throw it all away right when you're on the verge of a breakthrough? Most traders quit right before they would have made it. They put in years of work, thousands of dollars, countless hours of screen time, and then they give it up right before everything clicks. Don't let that be you. You've already paid the price of admission. You might as well see the show. I was 9 years into this game before I saw real consistent results. 9 years. If I had quit in year 8, street, none of this would exist. I wouldn't have broken the world record for the largest prop firm payout. I wouldn't be financially free. I wouldn't be here making this video to help you. All of that would have been lost because I couldn't push through one more year. And here's the hard truth. You can walk away from trading right now. You can go back to your regular job, settle into a comfortable routine, and live a decent life. There's no shame in that. But 10 years from now, when you're sitting at your desk or lying in bed at night, you're going to wonder, what if? What if I had just stuck with it a little longer? What if I had actually followed my rules? And what if I had given it everything I had? That regret will eat at you in a way that losses never could. Financial losses you can recover from, time losses you can make up, but the loss of knowing you gave up on your dreams, that stays with you forever. Don't let future you look back and wish current you had been stronger. Now, I'm not saying you need to be reckless. I'm not saying you need to risk money you can't afford to lose, but I am saying that if trading is truly what you want, if freedom is truly what you're after, then you owe it to yourself to give it an honest shot. Not a half-hearted attempt where you break all your rules and blame the market. A real disciplined, committed effort where you follow your plan for an extended period and actually give yourself a chance to succeed. So if you want to turn this around, here's what you need to do. Write down your why and put it where you can see it every single day. Not some vague goal like, I want to make money or I want to be a professional trader. Dig deeper. Why do you want financial freedom? What will it give you? Who are you doing this for? For me, it was my wife and my family who stood by me through 9 years of failure. It was a life that we dreamed of building together. That's what kept me going. So you need to find yours. Second, commit to one strategy and give it a real chance. Stop jumping from system to system every time you have a losing streak. Pick something that makes sense to you, backtest it, and trade it consistently for at least 6 months. Document everything, review your trades, learn from your mistakes, and treat it like the business it is and not a lottery ticket. Third, protect your mental capital like it's more valuable than your trading capital, because it is. You can always reload your account, but if you're mentally destroyed, game over. That means taking breaks when you need them. That means not revenge trading after a loss. That means surrounding yourself with people who are going to support your journey and not people who tell you to give up. Your mind is your most important trading tool, so take care of it. You now have everything you need to get back in the fight. Write down your why, put it on your monitor, and remember who you're doing this for, and just try to be 1% better every single day. Now, if my story resonates with you and you still can't find the right path in your trading, I have something to share with you. Recently, I opened the doors to my Inner Circle program where I directly mentor traders, teaching them the lessons that I've learned in the last 14 years that I've been trading, helping them avoid the mistakes that caused me to take 10 years to become profitable, and trading alongside them every single week. If it still works, then spots are open, but if it doesn't, then that means slots are closed for the next enrollment. I want you to understand that just because you're struggling now doesn't mean that you will struggle forever. I hope from listening to this story that you found the willpower to continue the journey. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.